Hello, everyone. So, we are here to talk about and to rave about flipping for Christmas. And we are so excited because we have Brett Hurd with us, and we've never met. I'm excited to meet you. I was
Me
really
too.
interested because I loved the storyline of this, and I have like 1,001 questions.
Good.
And I hope I don't talk over you, Kathy.
Has that ever happened? Come on.
No. How are you, Brett?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for asking me to do this. I appreciate it. It'll be
Sure.
fun.
Now, where are you located?
In my living room. I'm in
Funny.
Toronto. I'm in
Oh, right,
Toronto.
you were in Canada. Okay.
Yeah, I'm in
Yeah.
Toronto, Canada.
All right. Because Kathy and I are both from the States. I was curious. I wasn't sure exactly where you were located. Lately, our guests have been actually from the States.
Oh,
Those that we've been able to have come on and talk about their movies. What we do is we choose one movie from the premiere weekend, and
mhm.
I chose this one. This one was my
Good.
choice, Flipping for
Good.
I
Christmas.
fought her tooth and nail, but she won, and I'm glad she did.
Okay, cool.
I
I'm
didn't fight
glad
her
you did.
tooth and
I'm
nail.
glad you did too.
Now, I don't know if I had a chance to tell you though, Brett, whatever device you're on, if you look in your right hand section, there's a comment
Yeah,
section, and then people will come and say hi and ask questions and comment,
great,
and we'll put it on the screen and interact.
great.
So, Kathy, you had already asked some of these questions, which I thought were really interesting, but we always like to know how you arrived here. Like what's your career journey, if you want to give us a synopsis.
Make it the short version. So I was an actor for a long time, from when I was quite young, and in my early 20s, I was acting part time and working for an advertising agency. And then after a period of time, that kind of switched and acting became my full time thing. Um, I did stand up comedy for about 7 or 8 years in Canada and the US. Um, but just to date myself, I did stand up at the Riviera in Las Vegas, which is no longer there. So yeah. This stand-up comedy did a lot of sketch comedy and improv work in the city, and then just kept acting. And comedy was always kind of my thing, so I started writing more and more. And I think stand-up comedy is where the writing bug starts because you're obviously writing your own stuff.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
Started a company called Fresh Baked Entertainment, and we started writing a digital series for marketers like TV in the 50s, where a brand would pay for the content. And that's when I started to kind of let go of the acting and focus more just on writing. Wrote my first feature film about 12 years ago. I think it's about 12 years ago, called Stag. And then, a bunch of shorts and digital series. Wrote my second feature film about 7 or 8 years ago. Co-wrote and co-directed with Kate Drummond, who's also, just a segue to Hallmark, she's one of the stars of this weekend's Christmas Island movie. So she's
Oh.
an actor that's well established in the Hallmark world. So that's how kind of I got here, and then was presented to some folks making a Hallmark movie, and they liked my writing, and
I like that. It's actually a natural segue because we've met some people where she was a Mountie, and I was like, how did you go from there to
mm,
here? You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's funny to see how that happens.
sure.
Um Now your first feature film is at Stag. Could you spell that?
STAG, Stag.
Okay, it's
Yeah,
no play on words. I'm
yeah.
putting that in because people will ask. And then is there a way for us to see it? To
Yeah, I think Stag is on Apple TV,
Okay.
and my second feature was called Go Fish, um,
Wait a minute.
and
I
and
think
that is on Amazon Prime, I believe.
Okay. All right. I'm
Um,
putting them in for everyone.
yeah,
Cool. Okay. So now that was a question. Oh, go ahead, Kathy. See, we
no,
already
you,
talked
you,
over
you
each
weren't kidding before, were you?
other. Go ahead, Kathy.
Now, I have a question. I don't recall seeing um, a movie about flipping houses before. They're probably out there. I just haven't seen it. So it led me,
Christmas. Yeah.
yeah. So it led me to a thought. Hallmark produces so many Christmas movies. So for you writers, is it that you come up with the Christmas concept and then you pitch it and Hallmark gives you the go ahead? Or did you have a script or a concept for flipping houses that had nothing to do with Christmas, and then you adapt it
Right.
to be a Hallmark Christmas movie?
So with this specific movie, so I didn't already have something, and it wasn't originally a Christmas movie. So I was an actor person I know who was a fan of my writing, connected me to a production company that does a lot of these Hallmark movies.
Mhm.
They wanted to see if I could pitch them an idea for a movie, and they wanted to not do a Christmas movie at the time. They wanted something different. So I pitched them an idea, and it was called Flipping for Love. And so we went through about a 6-month process of writing and notes, and there are parameters to work within with Hallmark movies. So you kind of stay within those bumpers to kind of get what everybody likes and collaborate with everybody. And then when we got to the end of that, it was about a 6-month period. Everybody loved the script to the point that they thought, hey, can we make this a Christmas movie? So I then went back and redid it for about another 3 or 4 months to make it a Christmas movie. So I think because Hallmark has this very successful structure, I would imagine most people build it for Hallmark, whether they have the idea or not prior. It's really made for that Hallmark model, I would imagine.
Sure, because it's a genre, like
Yeah.
you're fitting, yeah. Like I remember in writing, they would send out, like the publishing houses would send out tip sheets, and they'd say this, and this is what we need for this line, and this, and this is what we
Yeah.
need for this line, even down to like word count.
Yep.
And I mean, you're like, okay, and then you build your story from
Yeah.
there, and then you know who you pitch it to or you submit it to.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because I found creatively it was great because it's almost like a puzzle. I mean, you have the creative concept and you have the ability to write dialogue, but then you have to fit your story in kind of the puzzle pieces of what works for a Hallmark story, right? So it's kind of a cool adventure.
Yeah, it's a good challenge.
Not looking right at flipping Christmas, but in general, as a writer, when you write, do you have specific actors in mind ever?
So, sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I specifically I have somebody that sort of inspires the thought, and then sometimes you're surprised. This was one of the interesting things for me with this project was it's the first anything, but for certainly film, that I didn't direct, that I wrote and then I handed it over for someone else to direct.
Oh.
So that was a cool experience for me. When you're directing it, I've had experiences where I've written a script with somebody in mind, and then just by chance somebody else would audition for it, and they're way better than the person I had in mind, and they end up being the one that books the spot. So, but yeah, certainly it's one of the inspirations is having somebody in mind.
Were you there when it was being filmed? Were you on set?
No. So this was as I said, a first experience for me, which I quite enjoyed of writing it and then saying, and there you go. Letting the boat out into the water.
Do you, I mean, it's almost like sending your kid off to take the bus to school for the first time. Do you truly let it go, or do you kind of bite your knuckles until you see the finished product to see what they did with your baby?
Yeah, it's so funny because in my personal life, I have 2 kids who are at I gotta let go now. So I think I've been working that muscle to begin with.
Okay.
So yeah, it was. I was pretty good. I mean, I didn't have any angst about it. I think and I had a lot of confidence in the people making it. And Kat Burrell directed it. And she did an amazing job. And so, yeah, I was fine with it.
Do your ideas? I'm sorry, I'm taking over, but this is just so fast.
No, you're fine. Do it.
Your ideas just keep flowing, Brett. I mean, I've done writing, but the minute it becomes a responsibility that someone wants, I work for a PR agency, and the minute I have to get paid for it, it's like, oh my gosh. Do you ever get blocked or just?
Now, see, this is like someone driving in a car saying, I've never been in an accident, and then they get hit. So for me to say, no, I don't actually. I've been lucky, knock wood. Yeah, I don't think I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I think because of that, I think writer's block is just an anxiety backlog, a fear of it happening. So I think if you can let go of the fear in anything, I think in life, then you kind of mitigate the issues coming up in the first place. So thankfully, I haven't had an issue with that. So.
Um, so of course you've watched it. Were you able to watch it before it premiered or
No,
when
I
so
watched
you
it just when you guys watched it. We all
Yes.
watched it together.
okay. All right. Did you have a little premiere party?
I did. Well, I watched it with a friend. Yes, we had
Oh,
little Christmas hats on, and yeah,
you
it
did
was.
the whole thing. I was tweeting. Did you tweet? Because I didn't. Are you on Twitter or X? I
So
didn't see you.
I'm not. I mean, I should say
Okay.
I'm on Twitter. I'm just not really good with that stuff. I wish I was, but
It's okay.
yeah, I got to
Hallmark
get that.
was doing a great job. Like they were retweeting or re-Xing, whatever we call it nowadays, everything that Marcus was on. There was a funny, I wanted to ask about this. There's a scene where like Mark with the memory tree.
Yeah,
So is that something that you had to wind up adding in to make it Christmassy to add
yeah,
a memory tree? Okay, I
yeah.
thought that was beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
there is a series called When Calls the Heart, and they
Yeah,
have a tree that they put out, and they had those wooden things that went on it, and they do different things. But I thought that was beautiful, and with the memory of it, and the Bo, who is Marcus.
yeah.
Marcus was on When Calls the Heart. So
Oh,
I actually sent an X out and said, "Were you channeling Charles like you were in Hope Valley?" And he laughed, he liked it, and he put it out there. But I thought that was like one of my favorite
oh, that's
little
good. Thank you.
tidbits, which is nice to know now. And like now that I look at it, so it wasn't in there, but once you had to make it a Christmas story, you put that in there.
Yeah,
Did you ever have you ever come across a memory Christmas tree before?
not in person. No,
No?
no.
Oh, that was a cool idea. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
things like that scene, the scene where the father's untangling the Christmas lights as sort of a metaphor of his life being tangled and
Yes.
confused, and those were things that had to be added into to Christmas up the movie.
Okay.
Um, and I think they cast did a great job in bringing those to life. I thought.
They did so for me, I don't know how anybody else. I was trying to tell Kathy about this. So for me, usually I like looking at something different when it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah,
I love all the Christmas movies. I've watched them forever. My whole family were Hallmark people. So, but the thing is that I understand it's one of their Christmas movies, and there's a certain guarantee that there's a happy ending and whatnot. But I love this one because it was about loss. They
yeah,
were all of them who lost it was Bo's mentor, like a father figure. It was a great grandfather, right? Great grandfather, or great great grandfather. Which was it? Two
for
greats?
for
John?
both. Oh,
No, no.
yeah, it was John's grandfather.
Yes. Oh, it was his grandfather. Thought it was which would make it for the kids' great grandfather
That's
because
right.
they were talking. I
That's
got you.
right. Yeah,
Which was like a father figure for Bo.
yeah.
And then there was the loss. It was the first. I keep adjusting my glasses because I broke them today in class.
Oh,
So everyone who wears glasses, you
that's
get it.
funny.
Like
Yeah,
my eyesight is all goofy. And then the loss for Abby and her sister Claire, and then of course their dad, because it's their first Christmas without the
yeah,
mom. And they
yeah,
all of them were dealing with something. And when it comes to Christmas, it kind of brings it out more,
yeah, yeah,
And I thought that was different. And I liked how they went through
yeah.
their feelings.
And, and
And
and they're all managing in a different way, right? I mean,
yes,
Abby's trying to just focus on work and compartmentalize, and her sister's embracing it and putting up the pictures, and
using her
Bo,
china.
yeah, and Bo's trying to honor him, and so yeah, everyone's dealing with it in a different way. And of course, the dad, um, he probably has it's his life partner he's lost, and so he's just trying to realign who he is.
That's true.
You,
So
you, the relationships I thought were really authentic. So what do you draw on when you're writing about the relationship of Abby and Claire, for example? Because
Mhm.
you're not a girl,
Mhm.
but their relationship really rang true. So
Mhm.
do you bounce the idea off of someone, or do you have someone in mind, friends or members of your family that you draw on when you're
Sure.
writing?
Yeah, I think all of this is, I think writing in general is a combination of your personal life experiences. And in my case, I certainly have siblings, but I have two daughters. And so seeing them relate and connect, and also how I would like them to relate and connect, right? So it's your personal life experience combined with an ideal life experience, combined with a lot of research. And I think if you mix all those things up, that's how you can kind of create this recipe of what to write, especially for a movie like this. So I think just, one of the things I love about comedy that I've written my whole life is that when people are laughing, they're vulnerable for you to kind of pierce their heart. So it brings walls down. And so if you have a heartfelt message to bring and you wrap it in some comedy, I find it easier to deliver and hit the mark, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I loved, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kathy.
No, I feel like I'm dominating and I don't
No, I don't listen. We never argue like this. We usually argue about other things. Go right ahead. What do I go?
When you hand your script in to the folks who are going to bring it to life, I'm talking with my hands like you can see them. When you hand that script in, is that it for you as a writer, or do they ever reach out to you to say, I need clarification on this, or could we tweak this, or could you massage this, or when you hand it in, is that it?
No. You, particularly in this situation, it is like, in this case, it was 6 months of collaboration with the production company, and we love this, and what can you tweak that, and there'd be points where you would work within the parameters of what they're looking for, but then you have the right to say, I need to keep this the way it is because this, or justify why you've made those choices.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I mean, you could sell a script, you could just write it and sell it, but in most cases, I think if you sold a script, they would hire another writer. I don't think any scripts are like a one submission, let's make a movie. It's always a lot of revisions.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Now, what about, there were some funny things that were in there. And what I was going to say before that, Kathy, was I love, it did have the Christmas feels. You made sure it had some of the, things that we look forward to, like either a snowball fight or, baking of cookies or decorating a tree. And actually had all that. But you had two fights in there that I loved. The paint fight was great. And I guess, was that always in there? And then you added sort of like they're out cutting down a tree kind of silliness to it.
Yeah. So the paint fight was always in there. And then the I think the original one was just a hayride as opposed to a Christmas cutting down tree thing. But there were things I loved in that, like even the baking, we also added in that the dad does not like gingerbread.
Yes.
And we kept coming back to, I made you some gingerbread. And he's like, oh my gosh. Like he just so I was trying to add humor into all these sort of traditional things.
And he had a dry sense of humor, the way he delivered it. I loved it. I thought it was great. I also thought when he takes her out on their lunch date and it's a food truck. And so one of the things I thought was funny was the idea of a ho-ho hot dog.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever had cranberry sauce on a hot dog?
No, but I'll tell you, we went back and forth about it. I kept thinking, well, what? Because originally it was a hot dog stand when it was not a Christmas movie.
Sure.
I thought, okay, so what would I have? Like, I don't want to lose the truck because there's a whole story about Bo's trying to help this guy because he's going through. It just shows more of, Bo's good-heartedness.
Yes, it does.
So I was like, well, what could I do? Like a turkey thing? Could I do? And so finally I thought, what about we just call it a ho-ho hot dog? And everyone loved that. And it was like, and we can have the hot dog with cranberry sauce, which would be disgusting, quite frankly. I think I've never tried it, but
she bites it and says it's not so bad. Well, it's funny because I hurried up and told like my family and friends about it. And I said, we're going to do that. We're having a hot dog bar anyway. So we get like organic hot dogs and all that good stuff, but I'm going to put cranberry sauce out and we're going to try it.
Oh my gosh. You're a brave person.
No, we'll put it out on social media for you. I think
forget the ketchup. Go with the cranberry sauce.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And I know that you weren't there for this, but I would love to find out from props. If you notice those hot chocolates that they had, there was two different times. Like when Bo and Abby were walking, the marshmallows were like cemented on. They were so big, like they were moving around. And then when Claire was having cocoa, she had it with like the candy canes, and again those big like clumps of marshmallow on the top. And I'm like, what did you do? Like that made me want to go have a hot chocolate. Like I want to know their tricks. Like
I don't know. If I was
I
there,
know.
I would have taken notes and told you, but I have no idea.
So I loved it. And what about the house?
Yeah,
Wasn't that gorgeous?
beautiful. I was so happy to see that they found something that, you know, lived up to, because again, I write this and then it's up to locations to try and find something. Yeah, it was perfect.
Did when you're writing this house, what was it that you envisioned it would look like?
Pretty much that. That's why it was so nice to see it. It was, as I said before, because it's the first time I've just sort of written, and then it was cool to watch all the things that were exactly what I envisioned.
Right, come
to actually be delivered, right? Like the house.
Do you ever look at the finished product like with this one? Well, you may not want to talk about this one specifically, but do you ever look at when you just write the script and then look at it and go, I would have made a different choice in direction for that scene or this scene? Do you ever look at it with your director eye and like, what would I have done?
So for sure. In fact, I was talking to someone the other day about how one of the downsides of being a writer and a director, or even an actor for a long time, is you lose the ability to be lost in a story. So someone was telling me about an idea they had, and all I could think of was the problems of how they would shoot it instead of just listening to them. So, but in this case, honestly, I thought Kat did a great job directing it. Like there were no sort of, like it really was really well executed. But for sure, I mean, I would even go to the theater and watch a movie and think how I would have done something differently, right? I think that's kind of human nature.
Yeah. The other scene that I really loved was when they're going on their actual date. And I love it because she says, well, I'd be standing up, right?
Yeah,
because but and this time what we saw was them laying down in the back of the truck with all of the blankets. I was like, oh, I want to do that. I haven't done something like that for a long time. I grew up on a farm and we would, ride out on the back in the summertime and do stuff like that. But I was thinking in the winter, the way it was written, the conversation that they had together was like real.
Yeah.
And those two, for me, I thought I have met both before together.
Yeah.
The entire dialogue, they would look right into each other's eyes and talk like having like a real conversation. She rolled onto her side, looked right at him, and had and I was like, wow, I love them together. And the dialogue was perfect.
That was a beautiful scene. The way they shot that, and the set decoration, the way they set up that back of the truck, and the angle of the camera looking down on them, and it was really, really well done, that scene.
And what they said to each other was really good. So all that dialogue is you, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, and I also thought, Ashley, it was like so like natural, like a real conversation, and it was real important stuff. And that's one of the things that was like I love the most about the whole movie was their conversations and how they were real, like things that we think about now, and how honest, like especially when she comes back and she goes to apologize to him and they're like looking at each other having that moment again. I was like, but this could have been very sad, but it was more heartwarming than sad.
Yeah, that was another one of my favorite scenes, is that when she came back in and he was standoffish and she was just trying to say she's sorry and please forgive me.
And he wasn't having it. I loved it. I don't know. I just loved the connection that the two of them had, and the sister too, the connection the two of them.
She was awesome, and their relationship worked out really well. And so, it's funny, getting back to Kathy's earlier question about what inspires some of these different things for writing. and a lot of it being your personal life. Things like the back of the truck when he's talking about, they're comparing the big city. I live in, like, Toronto is a big city. It's like, 4
Yeah.
million people now, and it's too busy. And I'm at a point in my life where I'd like to move out of the city. I'd like to get to a smaller place. And so writing this whole bit about, the brighter the skyline, the dimmer the stars, is how I feel. Like, so you have the ability, you have the opportunity to express yourself in other people's voices, which is kind of a perk of being a writer.
That makes it fun. Also, the quotes, that was adorable. Like how you would like there was the dad's quote like about it was his philosophy about
Yeah,
life. Then you snuck in there Dr. Seuss, and
yeah.
then later on he comes up with one. So that was always part of your where did you come up with that though? That was kind of cool.
So I think the story calls for it. Sometimes it's just the story calls for it, and one of the benefits of being a writer is if you're good at it, you research. Like, you have to research. It's not just writing. It's like, what would be a good quote here, and so you're learning all this stuff as you do it. And is this something Walt Whitman would say, or what is a line in a Dr. Seuss thing that would align to this part of the story? So the research is fun for a writer too, right? So, and when she opens the cupboard door and it says, old ways don't open new doors, or something like that. So yeah, I try to put a lot of those little kind of life poignant moments in it without killing it with it.
And then all the little pieces of humor, like her going inside the closet. She
Yeah,
said she's renovating or
yeah,
doing like on the phone. I know. And then she looks
yeah,
out to see if anybody heard what she had to say, which was all just it was just really
yeah.
cute. It was
Even
good.
even even the meet cute. The meet cute
Yes.
had
Yes.
kind of an Abbott and Costello vibe to it, right? Like, who's
Yes.
on first, like that kind of
Yep.
back in 10 minutes thing. So yeah.
Now, when you do your character profiles in your mind and you get the idea of what your characters would look like and their personalities and all of that. So for me, I would describe in my mind, and I'd have my little visual board out because I'm visual. I would know what the length of the hair was, the eye color, that whole thing. Did you have that in mind for these two characters?
Not to that level of detail.
Okay,
So I mean, I think Hallmark has a model that
right.
kind of works for them. When I first saw their pictures, I was like, man, these guys are good looking.
They
Like
are. Yeah.
like but they were great. Like, I was so happy with the performances. It was really good.
Yeah. They were. They were really good together.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
Kathy, she'll be back. She bumped out. Might be her Wi-Fi. I have just some things that I wanted to post from what people had shared. Rona was saying that she loved the paint fight, which I love too. I thought
good.
that was great. And I'm wondering, did they use real paint? What do you think?
I probably. I mean, I would imagine. I
Yeah.
don't know what else you would use. I would imagine it'd be real paint, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's see. Christine or Chris is saying you've had a lot of you've had a life of various jobs. That's what she's saying. Now, did you which is great because that just makes it more material for you to sort of like
Right.
get inspired by, right?
Sure. And I think also in my acting years, as is common with most actors, you do a million jobs as side hustles to pay the rent, right? So
True. Yeah.
my kids always get such a kick out of how many things I did, and all of those, if you have kind of a writing mindset, they're all more material for little characters you can pick up on or experiences you can pull from. And I think you get to the point as a writer where, like, I would take the subway to go to whatever job I was going to, and I'm tall, I'm 6'4", so I would stand at one end of the subway car, and so I can see everybody, and I would start to make stories for them. Like, I would wonder how
Yeah.
much they love those shoes they put on this morning, or did that person sleep in past her? You know what I mean? So you can start to kind of get all these different stories going, which is fun. It adds to your roster.
I love it.
That actually leads to a question I had before Roxanne threw me out.
I wanted you out. You were
Yeah.
done.
Sometimes I really wish I knew what happened to the characters on December 26th, because the movies take them up to Christmas and then that's it. And
Right.
I've seen one recently, I think it was Mystic Christmas, that they actually showed a year later what
Yes.
happened to the characters. So when you're writing what you just said about the subway, it sounds like you're always going with your characters. Do you leave them once you're done with the script and it's been produced, or do you ever
Well,
think in your head where they
yeah.
ended, where they went forward?
So if Hallmark starts a divorce channel, then I've got a whole.
I wish I'd pay for that one.
No, I pretty much wrap it up, and that's that's the difference between I've got a couple TV series that are being shopped here in Canada. The difference between a film and a series is a film is finite, like it's a beginning, middle, and end, and then you go, okay, that's it. Whereas a series, ideally, can go on and on and on.
Unless that movie turns into a franchise.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, and then they're sort of, but even with that, you're right. They can lead into the next story, but they're all contained in their own generally. So yeah, that's true.
I'm going to add some, things because you've been generous with your time. We don't want to keep you forever.
That's okay.
Robin saying thank you for this story as such a great movie, very meaningful and insightful, and agreed about the city life versus stepping away to a smaller town vibe. Yeah, and slower life, taking it all in.
Yeah,
which is what you said is like what you're feeling, right? You're thinking, yeah. Now go ahead.
So I was just gonna say, I think it's just a time of life thing. It's I've been in this big city in my entire life, and it's like, and I have friends that live in smaller towns now, and I spend time there, and I'm like, I think I really prefer this. So yeah, it's just a time, I think.
Yeah, I'm born and raised in a small town, and but we're in between. I never felt like we were missing out on anything. We have a lot here, and we're so in between everything. Like I'm 30 minutes from Atlantic City and 40 minutes from Philadelphia, but I have everything, like, so I always think in my mind, how can you live in this city? I just could never do it. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, the congestion and the traffic and it's just, yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's just a different life, but hustle and bustle, some people love it. I mean, but I get what they were saying. And I liked how she decided that this was, I mean, her whole mindset changed. Remember, at first she was like, she was for tearing down and making it urban. And then she's like, oh, when she got to experience it, just a whole different mindset, which was nice. The story arc.
Yeah. And there's that moment where she's sitting with her dad, which is one of my favorite scenes. And she says to him, don't stop when you're tired, stop when you're done. And he says, yeah, about that. And that's when we see, okay, well, he's realized, because he's been forced to realize the misplaced priorities in his younger life and what he missed out on. And God forbid his kids should miss out on what he missed out on. And so I love that scene.
That's a good one. Yeah, it comes full circle.
Yeah.
Gloria says, no, go ahead.
I know Hallmark has its parameters. Sometimes I wish they would just throw us a curveball and, have the guy say, you know what? I've been thinking about it. I think you're right. Let's just sell this place and I'm going to move to the big city with you.
Yeah.
It's always the female who makes the concessions and changes her life and moves to town. I'd love to see that.
Right.
There are some.
But at the same time, I totally agree with you. At the same time, she makes concessions, but she's the one evolving. She's the one who's going through growth, right? Who's actually the concessions she's making are for her, her soul, like her being a better person in a sense, as opposed to sort of, as opposed to, okay, I'll put on the apron and make the meal. Like I don't think it's which is nice. It's
yes, none of that. Not unless they wanted that.
None of that.
Yeah. Gloria says, what other projects are you working on? And do you usually work with Hallmark, or can we find some of your projects elsewhere? Gloria, I did put in 2 of his feature films, and they're in the chat.
It's up to the beginning.
Yes, you may have missed it. and love flipping for Christmas. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you.
Do you want to add to that? Like
Nope.
add
So of the two features, fair warning, Stag is not in the Hallmark world.
That's okay.
It's a straight up over the top comedy.
That's okay.
The second feature, Go Fish, is a beautiful, heartfelt story, again about loss, funny enough. Um, so those are the two features. And then in terms of other projects, I've got, I'm always writing. So I've got 2 or 3 features right now that are in various stages of either pitching or close to pre-production. I've got a couple of TV series that we have some cool attachments to and kind of get going. So it's a lot of, hunting and pushing and shopping, and it's a very time-consuming thing. And there's a lot of rejection.
Mostly rejection, I know.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that's and I think much like being an actor, I think what happens is you become resilient to the rejection. So you're less reactive to it. It's still a bit of a gut punch when something is rejected, but then you kind of get up off the mat and you go again. And you just keep going.
Is this your first Hallmark movie?
It is, yeah.
Oh, congratulations. That's so nice. I hope we find more. Kathy, this is for you. The stuff that you were saying, especially when it was directed towards me, that Robin liked it.
Okay. Thank you, Robin.
Oh, and Chris is saying, thank you for this story. It was not a cookie cutter Hallmark movie.
Good. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
And Robin's agreeing that there was great acting in the movie and as well, awesome chemistry. I know, Robin, I was saying that how they looked in each other's eyes. Oh, my goodness. They were so good. Rona said the story sucked me right in. I found myself screaming at the TV when she told me.
I'm glad you read the me right in part.
Oh.
Why, did I say it wrong?
No, so it just said the story sucked.
Oh, oh my God, that was loud. Sorry. No.
I was screaming at the TV when the assistant called. Like,
I know.
Told her she would have been so fired. Forget this Hallmark. I love you and it's Christmas time and I forgive you. Forget all of that. You'd be so out on the street.
Kathy sent me a message and said she needs to be fired.
That was just too much.
I know. Chris says, I love the quote that was repeated throughout the movie. Great interaction with the whole town, which helped her make the decision, seeing that she can grow in life. That was true. Good. And this is true. Not in the Hallmark world is totally okay. We're all good with that. Rejection seems to be the nature of the business, right?
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
Very competitive.
Like being a salesperson, you have to. There's something in artists, I think, that gives them that ramrod. Yeah, it may hurt.
Yeah,
when you're rejected, but you, like you said, you pick yourself and bounce back right back.
Yeah,
some of us just stay on the mat.
I think it's because in this case, it's something that you birthed, like you literally created this thing, and so I have one series specifically that I just know there'll be a huge audience for it, and I've had on the creative side, I've had people like Jason Priestley and like people say, this is fantastic, I'm in. But finding a home as a broadcaster has been like, if I had hair, I'd be pulling my hair out. Like but because you have such faith in it, you just keep getting up off the mat and going again. And eventually you hit the right door. So yeah.
Good. Wow. I'm excited and intrigued about that one. Oh. Christina wants to know, do you think you'll be acting anymore?
If the right, I love acting. I've always loved acting. I did a lot of commercials when I was younger, a lot of US commercials. So if the right project came along, I think at some point I'll probably write something for myself.
Yes.
Yes. But I'm not certainly, I don't have an acting agent right now. I'm not going to auditions, but I've had every now and then a director reach out and say, do you want to do this thing? And so, sure, I love acting. I still consider myself an actor at heart. So I'm totally open to it.
Being in Canada, did you ever, I kind of looked and I didn't see credit for you, but did you ever do anything for Republic of Doyle?
I was just going to ask about
I didn't. That's actually shot on the East Coast. And I didn't do anything on that. I after I kind of stepped out of acting. I can't remember the dates on that though.
Started in like 2012, I think, 2011 or 2012.
Yeah, I was at that point. I was actually directing my first feature and phasing out of acting. So I think the timing didn't work.
When you're writing, do you ever think about looking at a certain character, or just starting from scratch and writing a really juicy character that you can just play?
It's funny because this is funny because when I write any dialogue, whether it's male, female, I hear my own voice delivering it. So I write it like I think it should be delivered. And one of the cool things of watching Flipping for Christmas, all of them, but specifically Marcus, was exactly how I envisioned, like the tempo, like it was exactly how I envisioned the delivery with all of them. But for some reason, he stood out for me. But yeah, so I have started off going, hey, I would be good for this. And then, by page 20, I'm thinking of somebody else. So it's all about, I mean, it can't be ego driven. Everything's got to be for the project. So
It's true. I know. It was good. Thank you for it. I loved it.
Good. I appreciate that.
Something different. Yes. And I hope that you have more. You're going to have another one. We'll be looking out, keeping our eye out.
Well, keep your eye out.
All right.
If you do anything else for Hallmark, for sure, please reach out to us and let us know.
I 100% will.
And spread the word.
Yes.
I 100% will.
Sure, we'll spread it for you. Oh, yes. We'll put it on Instagram and everything. On X, which you're not on, but we'll do.
I'm on it. I have to get more active.
Listen to me. It is not a nice place. Okay.
It's not for the faint of heart, Brett.
No, it's scary.
Yeah. I think I'm on Instagram more than I'm on.
That's lovely. Let me just tell you, that's lovely.
Yeah. Is X not, is it not a good platform? Like, is it a bit?
No,
it's flipped. Let's put it that way.
It's what?
It's flipped.
It's really
not the same as it was under Twitter. I mean, there's been significant changes. So
it is good though to when your movie's out and you tweet live and all of that. It is good for all of that.
Yeah.
It's just that opinions. There's so many opinions, and people are hiding behind their computer, and their opinions are rough.
It's funny. I think in social media in general, the people that like something, they're quiet. The people that don't like it feel, I better tell you I don't like it. So from a ratio perspective, it's like 10 to 1. But all the people that loved it, they don't really feel the need to,
say anything.
Yeah.
There used to be a phrase, oh my gosh, decades ago. And I don't know if it was just here in the States or worldwide, but it was the silent majority.
Yeah.
And that's just, that's where all the people are. Most people aren't online. They're just out there living their lives, internet free. And people, I think a lot of the powers that be forget that.
Yeah.
Yes. Brett, this is for your name on Instagram. If I'm not mistaken, it's backwards, right? It's your last name.
Yeah, it's Hurd_Brett.
Yeah. Yes. That's where you can find him.
Only because Brett Hurd was taken. And I can't believe there's another Brett Hurd out there.
I know, right? Well,
if he's writing a Hallmark movie, we got a problem.
I know. I think Marcus is the real Marcus Ross or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen people do that.
Yeah, well, you have to, because sometimes people take your ID and all that.
Yeah. If they could take my ID and pay some of my bills, that would be sweet.
All right.
I don't think it works that way.
No, never. No, they'll cost you. They'll make you have bills, if anything, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for spending your time with us.
Guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for flipping for Christmas, and then for spending time to talk through it with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys liked it. And look, I'll tell you one thing. I've been so surprised, not surprised. I knew Hallmark had a huge fan base, a huge following. It's been lovely to be kind of brought into it and embraced by them. And not something I was even anticipating or expecting, but it's been really, really nice to have the brand of Hallmark is warm and fuzzy and love, and you feel that coming in. So it's been really nice.
Well, the show When Calls the Heart, they have their fans are called Hearties.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
We will be your flippers.
Oh, okay.
Make your next Hallmark movie.
You have to get like dolphin references, or maybe I'm dating myself.
There you go.
Old show.
That's so funny. Oh, they're saying thank you as
Oh,
we're saying good night.
my absolute pleasure.
All right, you have a good night.
Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate
Bye-bye.
it. Talk
Bye. All right, that was lovely.
Mhm.
I loved it. Girls and boys, how are you? Look, here we are up close. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Roxanne.
One of the things I wanted to share, because I always like to share Christmassy things if I can. I'm going to try and do it right now. Give me a minute while I'm getting it all ready. But I mean, those hot chocolates were standing out for me. Wouldn't you have loved it if I made a hot dog and put cranberry on it and then ate it?
I barf. I'm from Chicago. We don't even allow ketchup on hot dogs. So
Well, I'm Italian, and my father doesn't allow ketchup on anything. Like
yeah.
he gets so mad and angry by it. Oh, they love the idea. Like laugh out, love it. Flippers. Hi, Robin. Robin's saying hi to us. He was so lovely. I'm glad that was his first. So that was so
Mhm.
nice. We got to have him on. I
Yep.
loved it. Rona's saying some stuff to you. Yeah.
Really? Oh yeah.
Christmas Island.
Is that like the main one at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern? Because yeah, I might
That's
find
not
time.
what you're
I
doing,
might
though.
I might find time to squeeze in a viewing of that
I
because
know.
it'll be disappointed if I miss it. So
I love it. I love it. I wanted to share. So I've been drinking it and it's like all gone. But I was telling Kathy, it's so nice to like take something so simple, like you're with like my family, or the girls are here, or whatever, and it's nighttime, and we're gonna hop on and watch a movie. So even if it was, what are we saying, Swiss Miss, right? In your hot cocoa, right? So there's zhuzh it up. I love this. Look, here's what we do. Let me show you real quick. So that's like marshmallow fluff. Look, I brought it right here. See it? Not that I'm advertising for them, but here it is. And then you put it in the plate, and right here, we had these. These are actually from Walmart. They're like you top your cocoa with it, and we put it there, and then this is dip it in. There's my chubby fingers, and then when you dip it in, it sticks all around like that, and then you dip it into all like whatever. This here was a mix. This one had peppermint with it because I love peppermint, like little jimmies and little baby marshmallows. And then it sticks on the cup and you put your hot chocolate in it. Isn't that cool? Yes?
I'm a cocoa purist.
Yes.
I like my cocoa and a few miniature marshmallows, and I'm good to go.
Well, this was delicious. Okay. My girls love it this way. And then this
You
mug,
call those jimmies?
you can call them jimmies, I guess. Yeah.
I've seen that on ice cream and stuff, but
But they're not the same. They're because you know how jimmies can have like a waxy texture to them.
no.
This is more like yeah, they can. Like they'll have like a waxy. This is like candy that sort of melts in your mouth, and when it gets with the hot cocoa, it melts. Yeah,
Ah,
yeah,
well, if you swap out the fluff, is it called fluff? You said
yeah.
you swap out the fluff and the Jimmy things for some salt and lime juice.
Oh, we're talking something different, aren't we?
Then you got me.
That's another another
That's a
episode.
whole different winter delicacy drink. So
You love the peppermint, and it's very subtle. This one, I don't know if they have it this year, but it's like super subtle. And I know this sounds ridiculous, but this is the teacher in me. I had more than one of these. These were my stocking that my family gave me. This little clear thing comes off with this little cute top. I used it in the class with the kiddos. We did something with it because it's just too cute to like just throw out. I
like
have
a little cup on top. That was cute.
yeah. Yes. Margaritas. Yes.
Yeah, I never said that.
Sign me up.
I never said the word.
Yeah. And it is fun, Viola. It is fun and easy to do. You could do it with icing even, but or frosting, but the fluff is sticky and you could stick anything on. And it was like so easy. I know this sounds gross, but it's fun. We do it like I do it with my students. I say Happy New Year when I first meet them. So the fluff goes around the outside of a glass, and then we dip it into like sprinkles and that kind of stuff. But you put a little piece of cotton candy, and when you pour it, it fluffs up. It's like so sweet though. Oh my gosh, that's just
It
too much.
doesn't sound particularly gross. We used to do weird stuff when I was a kid. We
Yeah,
take a kosher dill pickle, a full one,
right.
cut off the top of it, and take a peppermint stick and stick it right down the middle, and then eat it. Oh my gosh, was that good?
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Oh my gosh. Yes, the fluff and a fudge recipe. That sounds delicious too, Chris. And it is. It was easy. It took 2 seconds. And then we feel all fancy and we go watch our Christmas movie in our pajamas. It's wonderful. Something I wanted to point out and add to just my 2 cents is that I wish now I've met Marcus and I've met Ashley before for 2 different movies, of course, but I would love to have had them on because I wanted to tell them thank you, because when I would watch them talk to each other and have their conversations, it was like I forgot I was watching a movie. I'm serious. That's I thought that's how good they were. I loved how they looked at each other. Like like their eyes. And I remember the one scene where she was doing something. I don't know if it was when she was sawing down the tree or not. And he was like behind her and he's like looking at her. Their faces are just, I don't know. I loved it. I thought
That's
chemistry.
why they call it chemistry. I'll be
Yes,
glad when this doggone actor strike is over so we can try to get some of the performers to start coming on again.
I know. And the costumes. I wanted to ask Brett if that's how he wanted them dressed. Like, is that the style or whatever? But that first scene where you meet the what is his name? Blair, the guy that she kind of works with, and he thinks he discovers her or adds like more to her
The assistant, the big guy's assistant, Antonio's
yes,
assistant.
yes, Antonio, right? But they had gorgeous suits on, and her green suit that she wore with the gold, I mean, that was sharp. They looked sharp, very nice. And let's see. Yes, very in tune with each other, seemed very comfortable together. They did. Yes, good chemistry. Oh, Viola saying, I had the pickle and peppermint too, Kathy. We love it. I want to try this.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yes, I think the little ones would love it. I may have to try it with my granddaughters. It's so, listen, you don't even need a lot. And you don't, if it, when you dip it in, like I was showing how you dipped it in, you can also do it with like a spoon. It stays. And if you want to stick it in the refrigerator first to make it cold so it stays and then put in your hot chocolate, that works too. Marcus is adorable and he's great. Ashley is gorgeous and her eyes are very expressive. She uses her eyes as part of her acting. Very good, Gloria. She does. She does. Yes. Yeah. Oh, so I always have to add a little Christmas flair. Next week we are doing
Biltmore.
no, Biltmore's Christmas weekend. Next
Oh,
week is everything about Christmas. And here's the irony in that. Pat, was it? How do you pronounce her last name? It's not Burrell because I know Burrell. Is it Burrell? She was in Wynonna Earp and she also was in The Good Witch. She's the director of this, and she now in the next one we're going to watch, Everything About Christmas for next week. She is with Cindy Busby. She's acting in it. Isn't that funny? Like how it carries over. She didn't direct that one. She's acting in it. And we're going to do that one. I'm not quite sure who our guest is going to be. I kind of have an idea, but I don't want to say it because it hasn't been confirmed. But we are going to be doing the Biltmore because I said we had to. So Kathy can pick the next one after this. And then we are so excited because the costumer is coming on for that. I'm like very excited about the Biltmore. All right, everyone. I hope you're having a good night and a good holiday season.
and good cocoa.
Good cocoa and a margarita on the side. Hi, Roxy. Are you okay? My puppy dog is here. I'm babysitting. And it's time for us to go. Aw, what's this? Robin says, yes, crossing fingers, strike will end soon. I believe they are getting closer. My family has a vested interest as my son-in-law is in the business. and he has had to work elsewhere at this time. I know.
Well, we got through with the auto workers. They've gotten through there, so maybe the actors will be next.
Yes, I know. I hope so too. Yes. All right, everyone. You have a good night. Thank you for tuning in.
See you next week.
Merry Christmas countdown.
For those of you who will be joining us on Thursday,
Yes,
for a Republic of Doyle podcast.
Yes, last week we didn't do it because I was under the weather. I actually went home very sick, had an ear infection, but I'm all good now. So it'll be fun. Except my glasses, I got to go get my real things out. They're all crooked. All right. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.